Okay, so I will be doing 4-4 part 2 in your notes, which is also operations with radical expressions. So the first equation I'm doing is finding the perimeter and area of a rectangle with the dimensions of 4 radical 2 minus 3 by 6 radical 2 plus 1. And first we'll be finding the perimeter, which is the 2 length plus 2 width. So first start off by labeling the rectangle, which is 4 radical 2 minus 3 by 6 radical 2 plus 1. So you'll first be taking the first dimension, which is 4 radical 2 minus 3, and adding it, or multiplying itself by 2. So 4 radical 2 minus 3. When doing that, you're going to add the outsides, which is 8, and since both the insides are the same, we're going to keep it the same. 8 radical 2, and then you take negative 3 minus negative 3, and that will equal 0, so you keep the same. Then on the second dimension, it is 6 radical 2 plus 1 plus 6 radical 2 plus 1. And that is going to equal, once again, adding the outside, which is 12, radical 2, because the insides stay the same, and adding the outside, which is 2. So then for the final step for finding the perimeter, you are going to add both equations together. So you're going to take 12 radical 2 plus 2 plus 8 radical 2. And you'll do the same thing. So add the outsides, which is 20, and then keep the inside, radical 2, and then plus 2, and that will be the final answer. Okay, so now you're trying to find the area of the equation, and that is the length times width. So the first dimension is 4 radical 2 minus 3 times 6 radical 2 plus 1. And so you're going to distribute, and that will equal, so you take 4 radical 2 times 6 radical 2, and that is 24. And then the both radicals cancel out, so it's just 24 times 2. And then you are going to add now 4 radical 2 times 1, which is just 4 radical 2. And then next you're going to take negative 3 times 6 radical 2, which is negative 18 radical 2. And then lastly, you're going to take negative 3 times 1, which is just negative 3. Then next you're going to combine like terms. So first you just multiply 24 times 2, which is 48, plus 4 radical 2 minus 18 radical 2 minus 3. And so that will equal 48 plus 4 radical 2 minus 18 radical 2 minus 3. So to subtract 3 from both sides, that will equal 45 plus 4 radical 2 minus 18 radical 2. Then next you'll just combine both radicals, so it will be, so you're going to add 3 on both sides. That will equal 51. So then it will be 51 minus 14 radical 2. So the total area of this problem will equal 51 minus 4 radical 2. Okay, so next we will be finding the area of a triangle, and the base of it is 3 radical 5 plus 2, and the height is 4 minus radical 5. So the height is 4 minus radical 5, the base of 3 radical 5 plus 2. And to find the area of a triangle, it is 1/2 base times height. So you're going to take 4 minus radical 5 times 3 radical 5 plus 2. And once again, you're going to distribute. So go over there. So once you distribute, you'll take the 4 times 3 radical 5, and that is 12 radical 5. Then you will take the 4 times the 2, which is 8. The next you'll take the negative radical 5 times the 3 radical 5, and both radical 5s will cancel out, so you'll just get 5 times 3, or negative 5 times 3, and that's 15. And then lastly, you will take the radical 5 times 2, which is just negative 2 radical 5. And of course, you will multiply all this by 1/2. So once combining all like terms, you will get 10 radical 5 minus 7, because you took the 8 minus 15 and multiply that by 1/2. And so the total area will be 5 radical 5 minus 7/2 inches. And this is because we divided by 10 by 2, and the radical 5 kept the same. Then we took the negative 7 divided by 2, and that just stays as a fraction. So next we will be finding the volume of a square prism. The volume of a prism is the length times width times height. And as you can see, the length and the width are both the same, which is 4 radical 3, and the height is 3 radical 7. So first you will start by taking 4 radical 3 times 4 radical 3 for the length and width, and that will equal 16, and both radicals cancel out, so it's 16 times 3, which is equal to 48. And now you'll multiply the 48 by its height, which is 2 radical 7. So you'll multiply both of the outsides, and that will equal 96, and then you just keep the outside, which is 7, and then don't forget to label it. And that is the final answer for the area. Okay, so next we will be finding the perimeter of a rectangle with dimensions of 6 radical 2 minus 2 by 8 radical 2 plus 1. So you're going to label it by 8 radical 2 plus 1. Okay, so the formula for perimeter is 2L plus 2W. So you're going to take 6 radical 2 minus 2 by multiplying it by 6 radical 2 minus 2, and that will equal 12 radical 2, since the 2 stays the same, plus 0, and then you will keep that the same. And for the second equation, it's 8 radical 2 plus 1 times 8 radical 2 plus 1. That will equal 64 radical 2 plus 2. So to add those together, you'll get 12 radical 2 plus 64 radical 2 plus 2. So then you'll take 12 and 64, and together that will get 76, and then you keep the radical 2, and then you add the outside plus 2. And the final perimeter is 76 radical 2 plus 2 inches. Okay, to summarize it all up, when adding or subtracting radicals, you always add what's outside of the radical and keep whatever is inside the radical, if it's the same, whatever is inside it. So in this case, it would be 5.